On this video clip I'm going to go through question 10 from this maths paper, which is GCSE Foundation, paper 1 from 2011. And here we have question 10. I'm going to work through this question, explaining how to do it and the marks are awarded for this particular question. Should you want to get the whole exam paper for paper 1 and paper 2, 2011, and the DVDs that explain, as I do in the video clip, then you'll need to go to mathstutor.biz and mathsdvds.co.uk to get full details. So we've got what is called a sequence. That says sequence. This is a sequence of numbers: 3, 8, 13, 18, 23. Write down the next term and explain how you got your answer. So you're meant to look at this sequence of numbers and find a pattern to find the next term, or if you like you could have said next number. So hopefully you've spotted that you need to add 5 on. Add 5 to 8 you'll get 13, add 5 to 13 you'll get 18, add 5 to 18 you'll get 23, so if I add 5 to 23 I'll get 28. Explain your answer. So small sentence: I added 5 on to 23, or I added 5 onto the previous number because I noticed that the series is found by adding 5 on each time. It's worth a mark, so it doesn't have to be an essay, but it needs to be enough to explain to the examiner you know what you're doing. So there's 2 marks there, one for the number and one for Y. Are you outside my door? No. Are you hovering? No. Are you going penny, 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 penny?
No, I'm getting the book.
Okay.
Right.
So you're being quiet, are you? Okay. Now let's find the 10th term, or the 10th number in this sequence. That's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. So the 7th number will be 5 onto that. The 8th number will be 5 onto that. The 9th number will be 5 onto that. And the 10th number will be 5 onto that. So there's my 10th number. Now that method of doing that is perfectly acceptable. However, there is another way of doing it, which I'm going to explain, because when you do these past papers, these practice papers and past papers, you're revising for the exam. And if this question was later on in the paper, say question 20 or 21, it would be a little bit harder by possibly asking you, what is the nth term? So let's have a look at what is meant by the nth term and find the nth term. That's the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th term. The nth term is any term. The 100th term, the 125th term. They would be thought of as being the nth term. In other words, a formula to work out any number in the sequence without going along and adding on 5 all the time. Although for this question that's perfectly acceptable. So let's look at these numbers. The 1st term is 3, the 2nd term was 8, 3rd term 13, 4th term 18. These are called the position numbers. Now let's multiply these position numbers by 5. Why 5? Well, because that's the clue that was given when you spotted that you add on 5 each time. So I'm going to multiply these position numbers by the 5 that I found needed to be added on each time. So 5 1s, 5 2s are 10, 5 3s are 15, and 5 4s are 20. Now, let's look at these results I've got and the actual terms and see if we can see another connection. 5 take away 2 is 3. 10 take away 2 is 8. 15 take away 2 is 13. So in other words, take away 2. So I'm saying a formula. If I multiply the position number, it could be a bit squashed in there, I'm afraid. If I multiply the position number by 5, thereby getting these numbers, and then subtract 2, I will get the term. Now let's test this with this answer I just got here. I've just noticed how careless I've been. I said 48 and then I wrote 45. Why did I do that? How stupid is that? I could edit this out, but I won't. I'll leave it there because it does illustrate how careless you can be, let alone being careless in an exam. So although I worked it out correctly, I then copied down incorrectly there. That was careless. Anyway, I've corrected it and I've managed to do it before I moved on to question 11, so if I did that in the exam I'd be okay. Let's go back to my formula. Position number times 5 subtract 2. The position number is 10, so 5 tens are 50, subtract 2 is 48. It works. But instead of writing down position number times 5, we actually do this. That is the position number times 5 minus 2. This is a formula for working out any term in the sequence. It will work out the 10th term by doing 5 tens of 50 subtract 2. Now I must admit in this question maybe that's going too far, but if I did it the examiner wouldn't mind because it's mathematically correct. Let's look at part C. Sam says that the 50th term is 255. Now using this method of adding on 5, I'd have to keep on adding on 5, 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 till I got to 50th term. Or, because we're told she's wrong, I might possibly spot that this goes 3, 8, 3, 8, 3, 8, 3, 8 all the way along. That's what I should have done there. 3, 8, 3, 8, 3, 8, 3, 8, 3, 8. So every term ends in a 3 or an 8. Every term ends in 3 or 8. 225 doesn't. So 255 is not in the sequence, let alone the 50th term. Now that is a perfectly acceptable answer, spotting that all the terms end in 3 or 8, so every term in the sequence will end in 3 or 8. This doesn't, so it can't be. And that is perfectly acceptable for 1 mark, because that's all there is for part C. All there is, shouldn't say that. However, because I've found the nth term, I could work out that 5 times 50 subtract 2 is 5 5 25, that's 250, subtract 2, that's 248. So I could actually work it out and say that it's different. So this question could be answered 2 different ways there and 2 different ways here. You won't get marks for each of them. I marked part A, didn't I? Now let's mark part B. It's 1 mark for getting the 48, however you did it. And it's 1 mark for part C, explaining why Sam was wrong, either explaining it by the method of they either end in 3s and 8s and that doesn't, or by actually working it out using the nth term. I spent a long time on that question 10 because I've done other things that you needn't have done for the question. But that's the whole point of doing practice and past papers, getting you prepared for an exam.